It's 10 minutes after 8 o'clock here on 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio. We welcome the American Blind Golfers back in here. We have Jeremiah Pauley. We have Deven Schei.
Hello.
And Mark
morning.
Arnold. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, guys.
So you got...
Well, listen, I know the tournament's been kind of going on, but has Mother Nature kind of ruined anything for the blind golf tournament?
It threw us a little bit of a curve on Wednesday, which is the cut down day. We have a competition, so we cut down to have the top two people in each site category, and there was no way with the weather Wednesday we could get it all in, so we kind of made a decision and did a 9-hole cut down. So we survived the weather and was able to make it, so everybody finished their 9 holes, and we could get the top 2 categories. And so I know on the air, Tina, you'll want to just, rub it in again, but...
I never rub it in, but I asked earlier if you won. I heard it was quite a duel.
Yeah, actually, there are 4 out of the 6 players that were pretty close, and my good buddy from Canada and I are real even players, and then the other 2 guys are a niche ahead of us, but we've always got a chance to get in and make the finals. And one played very well, and I mean, for the listeners that are golfers, if they've ever played Hawks Nest, it's a pretty tough golf course, and I think Bruce had the best first day score, and I think Bruce had maybe 41 or something. I'm not positive. And Charlie had 45, and I think Rick and I went either 46, 47, or 47, 48. So it was close to make it in. That's all you want is a good competition. And their championship match, then the next day, Charlie and Bruce in our division, they were still tied after 18 holes. And Bruce then won on this first sudden death hole. So competition was really good. Hawks Nest, I'm telling you, if people in our area, hopefully they've played it, but just a beautiful setting out in the country and absolutely fabulous shape. Even after all the weather we've had, the cool spring, it's already in great shape.
Oh, that's amazing. So now, Deven, of course, you're playing today, right?
I am. I played yesterday, too. I got to watch these guys come out and play a little bit, and that was a tough golf course. So if anybody's out there playing and see a bunch of Callaway golf balls with my initials on it, I lost about 20 of them. So I like them back.
So Jeremiah, did they christen you out there on the course, or did you end up playing a little bit?
Yeah, I played yesterday as well. Yeah, it was a tough course. There was one hole, I think it was on the front 9 there, 5 or 6. Actually parred it, so I was pretty happy.
Yeah,
that's going to keep bringing me back. That's for sure.
And your last shot always went in the hole, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. That's the way to do it.
That's how it goes in golf. The first hole is always a par,
right?
And the last one's always, maybe a birdie or or double eagle or whatever.
Yeah. So Mark, this is stroke play. There's no handicap outside, like where you would get strokes either back or taken off or that. Or?
No, it's absolutely. We talked before, but it's straight up. It's straight up golf. There's no any kind of major modifications for us, so it's real golf. I did want to mention, like, we went out when the guys got in town on Tuesday, and we went out to Ridgetop and just played 9 holes, kind of loosened up a little bit. And this is one of the kicks I always get about meeting new people and stuff. So Randy and I decided we'd scramble. Deven and Jeremiah and Stetson was in town, and so I know that through the years, Deven's been telling, Jeremiah about blind golf and how's this done and what's it going to be like, and so I know in the back of his mind he's still thinking, what's this? He doesn't know if I'm going to whiff the ball or, I'm going to just shank it in the woods on the first tee. And just just kind of a fate sort of a thing. Randy and I, he lined me up and I hit first and just drilled one down the middle. And Jeremiah's like, holy.
I'm in trouble with that. Where's the beer card?
But it was great. So I think he saw a lot of guys play. And, I always tell the people, like at Hawks Nest, this was the first year, telling some of the spotters and people, you'll see some shots, you'll think, these guys don't see very well, and then they'll see shots like, holy moly. some of the guys can play. So it was great.
Yeah, how'd that happen? Yeah, and of course the one thing that of course we'd seen the photographs, so we actually saw the actual item last night. Is of course Eric's painting, and again that was very, very good. And I understand already you've raised about $400 from.
Roger texted me this morning. We've already gone over 500, and we haven't done the outing yet. And
wow.
People are trying to buy tickets for it, so it's doing great.
Right. And if I did, we were talking about it earlier here. If I did mention correctly, all of those proceeds are going to the adaptive technology for the kids, correct?
Yeah, I'll let you
go ahead.
My brother made it very clear when he started doing the painting, and this was a couple months back. We had discussed a lot of things, and my brother wanted to get more involved with American Blind Golf, even though he couldn't make it up. He wanted to do something to give back because I was so passionate about it, and me and my brother feed off each other so much. And he decided that during his art therapy that he wanted to do something for American Blind Golf and American Blind Golf only. So he did this whole painting, got it all set up, and made it very clear he did not want it to go to veteran initiatives or Wounded Warrior Project or anything like that. He wanted to help out American Blind Golf and Ohio Blind Golf along with Lighthouse for the Blind to make sure that these kids get the equipment that they need and deserve. Those kids don't deserve to go to school and not have what they need. And if we can help in some way, shape, or form, we're going to do it. So that was very clear from him.
And just mentioning along those lines, of course, anyone that wants to help can make a direct donation. But that adaptive technology, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of the schools will have some programs for the kids, but when they go home, they don't have it. They can have it in school, but if they want to pick up a lesson or something at home, they don't have it. So this is for the kids to have in their homes to use, correct?
Oh yeah, it's going to be something that these kids can use at home, and not only the equipment, but also scholarships. Getting these kids back into school and getting into college and stuff is extremely important, and make sure that they have an equal opportunity to do the same things that everybody else is doing, even though with this limited eyesight. Throughout the years we've seen all these blind golfers, and we've seen eyesight deteriorate and kind of see the progress and what happens and stuff, and it was something that we definitely wanted to see and help out and do what we could. And Eric is going to attempt to do another one next year maybe, and if it does well this year, he'll make another one, and he's going to actually come up and try to present it to whoever wins it, whether we do a silent auction or whatever we choose to do. He wants to be up here, and he wants to see everybody and show his support the best way he can. So it'll be pretty. It'll be pretty neat to.
Awesome.
Oh yeah, it'll be awesome if he gets up here, and he's a riot, that's for sure. So he is definitely a riot.
Well, he's your brother.
Yeah, he is. Unfortunately, he is my brother.
Well, Jeremiah, is this your first time up here for the blind golf tournament?
Correct. My first time here for American Blind Golf. Yep.
So what have you thought of it?
Mark's a pretty amazing guy, and he'll buy you dinner and he'll buy you breakfast, and he likes to take your donuts though. So
that's so funny. Now, I guess I always like to know, what's your favorite part? I know you're from Massillon, so you're familiar with the area, but what's kind of been your favorite part about being back, being at this tournament? Maybe something you've seen. I don't know if it would be Eric's painting. Maybe there were a couple of things you could share with us.
Well, first, I think my first thing so far, or pardon me, my favorite thing so far is my mom came out to the reception last night and was able to hear me speak. And that's not something that really happens very often, so that was pretty special. Aside from that, though, I look at, these guys that I've met this week, and, I see this determination, in their face, and they're strong-willed about what they're trying to do. And at the end of the day, it just is so similar to, what I try to do as an individual, in my own personal recovery from combat wounds, and with mental and emotional problems, and trying to become better. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're not letting anything hold them back. And to me, I just think that's extremely inspirational.
Jeremiah, I think you brought up a great point last night in your speech, in your message, and we'll get to that in a little bit here too. That the Wounded Warrior symbol of soldier carrying a soldier is very, very similar to the blind golf, because there's one person helping another, and that parallel you drew it very well last night in your message.
Yeah, the logo of Wounded Warrior Project depicts one warrior carrying another warrior moving forward, and that logo is cyclical, meaning you might be carried today, but you may be carrying someone tomorrow. And American Blind Golf, their logo is extremely similar because it's someone they're helping. It's someone they're coaching, guiding, whether it's a spouse or a friend or a golf coach, whatever it is you want to call it. That's exactly what it is. And when you've dealt with and you have those types of injuries, or you have something physically wrong with you from combat, or you have loss of eyesight, or you have the mental and emotional injuries that you suffer, you're not going to get through those alone. You need someone by your side. You need someone to pick you up. You need someone to coach you. You need someone to tell you how to hit the ball, which is to me, it's just like getting up in the morning. You need someone to help you get up in the morning. Then do it.
Very good.
Yeah. Jeremiah, you suffered your injuries in which conflict?
Telefar, Iraq.
Okay, in Iran. Do you remember? Do you go through that? Do you put it aside? How do you carry what happened then with you into June 29th, 2018?
Yeah, I think about it pretty often. I mean, it was probably the single most important day of my life. I mean, if it wasn't for that day, I wouldn't be right here in Wadsworth right now. Yeah, it definitely affected me. I had to learn how to adapt certain things. I had to learn how to eat left-handed. I have terrible handwriting, but now I can blame it on a physical injury from college. So that's always a good thing.
Help you get into medical school. There you go.
So absolutely, I think about it often, and what happened that day, and being wounded. I remember part of that day thinking, I hope this isn't it. And I remember telling the medic, don't let him take my arm. I hope that's not it. And when I was in the hospital and my wife was pregnant with our first child, I just wanted to know from the doctor, hey, am I going to be able to play catch with my kid again? And he had told me straight out, there's a lot of things that you can't do from now on. And I think that hurt the worst more than anything, just being told that I can't do something.
Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about your story again. How you decided to go into the military. Did you, when you came out of high school, college, yes college, no college, and what brought you to the military and to that roadside bomb that day?
Yeah, I grew up in a very patriotic family. I learned at a very young age what the Declaration of Independence was, what the Constitution is, and what it means. And my dad taught me about these brave men and women that defended our rights as Americans and defended those documents. And I said, hey, I want to do that one day. I was 17 and I invited an Army recruiter over to my house, and my mom was pretty upset. So she sat there and listened to him, and then politely, told him that he could leave, and I never saw that guy again. And so I went off to college. She told me, you're going to go to college. You're not going to join the military. And she came from, the Vietnam generation. Her brother served in Vietnam, and had dealt with, his own issues from Agent Orange up until the day that he died. And she didn't want that for me. And well, once I went to college, down the road at University of Akron, I got bored pretty quick, and I realized that just sitting in a classroom was not for me. And so I decided I was going to join the Army, and I took some tests up in Cleveland at the Military Entrance Processing Station. And I said, you know what? I want to jump out of airplanes. I want to be airborne infantry. If I want to do something in the Army, I'm going to do something fun. I'm going to jump out of airplanes and go find bad guys. And that was it. And I never looked back. It was probably the single most best decision I had ever made. I was serving my country. I was a part of something bigger than myself. I enjoyed waking up in the morning, putting my uniform on. There were days, where I had to wear a dress uniform, where I would spend hours being very meticulous, making sure that all my medals and my ribbons and everything on my uniform was exactly the way the regulations said that it had to be, because I took so much pride in it. And I just appreciated the opportunity that I had to wear that uniform, not only for my country, but for my brothers and sisters that never got to come home.
And that year when you joined, when was that?
I joined the Army in '96,
mm-hmm.
and didn't deploy to Iraq until 2006.
Mm-hmm. And then tell us about your story there in Iraq.
Mm-hmm. Sure. We lived actually in an Iraqi house in the city of Tal Afar. It's definitely not one of those places. It's on. I don't think it's on anybody's bucket list to go to anytime soon.
It's got that nice pool on it.
People ask what it was like, and I'm just like, just think about third world country. There's not any running water. We didn't really have any hot meals. We were lucky to have the electricity that we did. And yeah, we lived in the house, and we would conduct our patrols there. We'd work with the local Iraqi army, Iraqi police, and teach them how to go look for bombs and how to defend themselves. We'd do patrols and interact with the locals and trying to win the hearts and minds, of the Iraqi people. We had been finding enemy weapons caches in empty houses, and I think the enemy kind of caught on to what we were doing. So one day we were searching empty houses, and as we came back out, the roadside bomb exploded. It instantly killed one of my soldiers. And I remember when that bomb exploded, just, thinking, hey, the bad guys are coming now and they're going to start shooting, get your weapon ready. And for whatever reason, my weapon wasn't coming up to my shoulder. And I looked down and my right arm was just hanging there. And there's blood all over my uniform and on my pants. And I called for our medic. He rushed in, and a couple of my soldiers came into the house, and they put a bandage, on my arm. And probably about 30 minutes had passed. I started to hear this helicopter come in. They were going to medevac me out. And that's when I heard that, Jody Missildine was his name, from Plant City, Florida, was killed. And it was just devastating that these guys were my soldiers. They were people that I said, I've got your back, and I am going to protect you while we are here. And, part of the warrior ethos, it says, I will never quit, and it says, I will never leave a fallen comrade. And I just felt like right at that moment, because I was leaving everybody, that I was just the biggest failure the Army had ever seen. And it just hurt so much that I just felt utterly helpless. And that was just the start of a long, long road down some very dark pathways.
Wow. You mentioned about this young man who from Florida. Do you? And I'm going to guess, Jeremiah, that you think about him every day.
Absolutely. Excuse me. Choking on my coffee here. Yeah, I do. I wear a bracelet. I wear a bracelet that bears his name.
Yeah, it's on.
And I never
I
take
see
that
it
off.
right now. Yeah.
So yeah, I think about him every day. It didn't used to be that I live my life like this, but now I look at my life as an opportunity to live for him. He's not here, so it's up to me to carry on his memory.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That. Yeah. I mean, again, that story is just absolutely amazing. And again, you shared it with the group last night, and again, it was very touching. And it's just one of those things where, a lot of people, and again, we're sitting here safe, nice, air conditioned.
Sure.
Room because of the sacrifices that you guys made, and again, we thank you never seems like enough, but sometimes that's all we can offer. But again, other than the support of things that you support as well. So again, one of the things that and again, you just love the way that Deven and again Jeremiah and a lot of the wounded warriors have come back to help, because and it just always struck me the one line golfer that was in a couple years ago, he mentioned that we just talking to him about all the things he did, and he said, well, as it turns out, my eyesight was my handicap. And to hear somebody say that, it was like you think about it, and it's and he said that I whether he was an accountant pushing a number 2 pencil in a corner, and once he lost his eyesight is when his life turned around. So it was just amazing to see what how people adapt and everything else. Although it's very tough to do sometimes, as well as
Yeah, I think whenever you experience a tragic life event like that, you have two choices after that happens. Either everything's going to become an obstacle, or everything's going to become an opportunity. And it takes practice. It takes a strong mindset to think like that. To be excited to wake up in the morning. To when you get up, think, oh wow, what do I get to do today? Not what do I have to do today. What do I get to do today? Well, today I get to come to a radio station and hang out, and I get to go play some golf with my brother over here, and Mark, and and have some fun later. And I think the more that you're able to look at your own life like that, and you think about, wow, 5-6 years ago, like I wanted to take my own life. I viewed getting up in the morning as an obstacle. I viewed spending time with my children as an obstacle. And now it's, I get to go play basketball with my son. I get to, work on a project with my daughter. I get to teach my daughter how to do a speaking class or something she's doing. Everything in my life now is this big giant opportunity. And it's just amazing to when I think about that, and I think about where I've come from, and it's because of organizations like Wounded Warrior Project and our community partners like American Blind Golf that have really made it possible.
And I believe last night you mentioned that your road back literally started on the road, started on a little bit of a bike ride, correct?
Started on a bicycle. Yeah, I used to joke around that if you would have told me, hey, you're gonna get injured serving your country and things are gonna be so bad to where riding a bicycle is going to save your life, I'd have been like, that's like the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
What kind of convoluted?
Like how is a bicycle? And it just didn't. And but it did. I met some men and women that weekend that are still my best friends today. I met Deven and his family that weekend. Deven was the best man at my wedding. His brother Eric was one of my groomsmen. His entire family was part of my wedding. So yeah, and it was a bicycle, and it's very therapeutic, I think, to get on a bike and just ride. Now, yeah, we were in the Arizona desert, and I mean, there's something
and that
pretty.
Sucked.
That sucked. There's something pretty weird about that because it was hot.
Yeah,
Oh, it was hot. You had that joke so long.
It's a dry heat.
Yeah, he had that joke so long ago. I thought it was funny that Wounded Warrior Project called us after we came back from overseas inside the hot desert.
So let's go to the desert.
You want to go to another one and find out what happens? And it was just like, oh, this is horrible.
Why would you want to send me there? Yeah,
is there a little cooler place that? Yeah, let's go back to a desert. Yeah.
The cool thing about even that story about Jeremiah riding that bike, both of us showed up, and that was our first program that we had our first anything that we had ever done with Wounded Warrior Project. We weren't involved with Wounded Warrior Project at all up to that point.
Yeah.
And both of us were invited to it, and we actually met each other in the airport, and that's how we got to know each other. And he didn't know I was military. He thought I was there with my brother, and then later found out I was military. And we both met each other at our very rock bottom, and he brought that up last night, that we had hit bottom, and he had hit bottom, and so did I. And both of us were contemplating a lot of things, and suicide was on the top of that list. And that day saved our lives. And it was after that first day of riding that both me and him were sitting at a bar having a couple drinks or one.
No.
And that was the biggest therapy for me. And I think it was for him too, was we were able to sit down and kind of discuss all this stuff. We got to know each other, and we weren't even close to the same age. We didn't even fight in the same combat zone, nothing, but we had a connection like none other, that we were experiencing the same things. And that's what Wounded Warrior Project is all about. It sets you up to succeed in life. It gives you an opportunity to meet others and see that there's more out there in life, that your injury is not just, that's it. That's not all you are. It's not just an injury. There is more opportunities out there, and that's what that ride, I think, did for both of us. I know for me, it was just a crazy thing to do, and it was, like he said, if you would have told me you're going to hit rock bottom and hop on a bicycle and ride
in the
Arizona desert in 120 degrees.
And it's going to save your life.
Yeah, and it's going to save your life. I would have called you stupid.
Yeah.
Like, no, that sounds dumb, but it was the craziest experience that I've ever done.
That weekend was the catalyst for just so much change. At the time, I was working as a technical recruiter, so I'd be recruiting some computer programmers and such. And Deven called me one day and was like, "Hey man, can you help me out and with a resume?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, brother. Send me your stuff and I'll look over it and I'll put it to where it's nice and neat and all that good stuff." And he calls me up a few months later and he's like, "Hey, I've got an interview tomorrow, my final interview for this job with Wounded Warrior Project." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, yeah, man, it's this spokesperson. I get to travel around the country and give speeches. And I'm like, man, that sounds amazing. He was like, well, there's also one in Northern California. I think you should apply for it. So he gave me the manager's contact information. I emailed him, and 2 weeks later, I was on my way to Florida for my final interview, and I got hired just like that. So all of that for Deven and I, you know, our paths, you know, are not only intertwined, but they started together.
Yeah.
You know, standing side by side.
Got hired and doing the same job, went through training together, and we finally got to hear each other's stories. I mean, we knew a little bit about each other and our stories, but it's not something you just sit down and just start talking about nonstop. And to sit up and see the progress. You know, when I met Jeremiah, Jeremiah was not this happy. He was not this person that you see today. I saw him at his worst. And it's cool to see him on social media and everything now. His biggest thing is make it a great day. And I think that is it's a key thing in life, is you want to make it a great day. And he's got this new one now as hashtag, what is it, 1%
1% better than yesterday.
And I think that that shows where Jeremiah is in life. And I've seen him at his worst. And he's seen me at my worst, and to see the progress that he's at now is just, it's awesome. And you know, the involvement with his kids and his wife and all that stuff is just, it's so cool to see, you know, my best friend sitting up there and just succeeding in life and getting over those humps and those challenges in his life, and it's really cool.
And you know, the one thing, you know, that I think that it seems to me that Wounded Warrior helps you with, it's almost like I don't know. I don't want to sound like a Weight Watch or a program like that. But what it does is it allows you to realize that you can do this on your own. It gives you the tools, but at the end of the day, you know, you lifted the weights, you did the exercise on your own. It has to give you a little more of a feeling of that. Hey, I really do have control of my life.
Oh yeah,
I think and that's so correct. You know, I think. When you put it in that perspective, the only thing that you're really ever in control of is your attitude. You know, so you choose to make it a great day. You can't just have a great day. Sure, somebody might buy you a cup of coffee, you might find a $5 bill. Oh, wow, I'm having a great day. But you've done nothing to control that. And when you look back and say, wow, I've come this far, and yeah, I've had a lot of help along the way, you know, not just from Deven, not just from Wounded Warrior Project, you know, but other people, other organizations. But they didn't make me say, oh, hey, I'm going to go make today great. They didn't make me say, ooh, today I'm going to be 1% better than yesterday. You know, I do all that. I do it with help on times, but at the end of the day, it's my own determination, and it's my own positive mindset that I want to instill in my own family, and my friends and the people around me. It is me. And I don't want that to come out to make it sound like, wow, these guys are like really kind of, you know, like.
Oh, if you meet me in person, it's a lot worse.
Yeah, that guy's got issues. You know, it is. And I don't want it to come out like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, I conquered some pretty nasty demons, man.
Oh yeah.
And I'm really proud of where I am today. And like I said,
it gets
earlier,
annoying every once in a while when he's so positive all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, God, can we just get mad for a second?
What's in your coffee, man? Jeez.
On the drive up here, he hit traffic, and he's like, just use your horn. Just use your horn.
One time.
And I just want to look back and I'm going to try to make it a great day.
Your stories are amazing and inspiring, and I've learned the very thing you just talked about recently, that we really aren't in control of too much but our attitudes. I think I was just telling Tom that a few days ago. It's kind of humbling when you're open to that realization that, you know, happiness is a choice, and you know, you can choose some parts of things. I always say every day is a gift, because we don't know how many days we have. And so I try to think at the end of the night, you know, if this were the last day that I had here on this earth, would I have been happy with what I did with my day? And so, you know, a perspective change can make all the difference.
Yeah, and there was this great quote, restaurant we were at the other day that was written up on the wall. It said, if you knew today was your last chance to play the game, how hard would you play?
I like that.
And if we take that as just, wow, if today's my last day on earth, you know, how hard am I going to take this day and make it my own?
And part of that too is recognizing opportunities that are presented to you. I mentioned it the other day with the guy that was in here, and I love the story. It's there's a flood coming along, and a car comes up to the house, and it mentions to the guy, says, "Come on, we'll get you out of here. The flood waters are coming." And he said, "No, the Lord will take care of me." So the waters rise a little bit more, and the guy comes by in a boat. Guy goes, "No, I'm not going with you. The Lord will take care of me." Well, the guy's up on his roof. The water's that high, and a helicopter comes by, and he said, "The Lord will take care of me." Well, the guy drowns. And he's before the pearly gates, and he goes, "Lord, you were supposed to take care of me." He goes, "I sent you a car, a boat, and a helicopter. What do you want me to do?"
Yeah.
He said, "This is your own fault."
Yeah.
And so again, part of that is recognizing, and it's easier said than done sometimes, especially
Absolutely.
with some of the things, and you go back and forth there's gray areas in there, but a lot of it is that empowering feeling to recognize those opportunities, and that you have the power to take them on your own.
Oh yeah, you need to, and it's we've all been through changes and stuff, and the progress, and you just need to take those certain steps to lead yourself in the right direction, find your new normal, and push in the right direction. And it takes a little bit. It took me since 2010 when I was injured. I'm finally content and happy where I'm at, and happy where I live, and happy where my life is going. It took forever. And I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel for the longest time. And then finally I got a glimpse of it, and I started running. And I was like, all right, what are my next steps to do? What am I going to do? And I still have my bad days, just like everybody else. I get negative, just like everybody else. I mean,
Sure.
I'm sure Mark got to hear some of my rants last night. So. He gets some whiskey in me. I can't stop. But no, it's those steps, and then sometimes you just got to take a step back and just say, okay, where am I going to readjust? I got to adjust fire, as the military would say. It takes a little bit. It really does, and it's easy to get discouraged. It definitely is easy to get discouraged, but just know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, and it will get positive, and it will get better.
Deven will feel better once some of his Callaway golf balls
Right.
find their way back.
I
to
know,
you,
I need
right?
them back. I'm going broke just off of golf balls.
Well, Deven, I know when you first came here to Wadsworth or whatever, I know that American Blind, not just back then, it wasn't even Wounded Warrior. American Blind Golf, and our buddy right here next to us, Mark Arnold, was a big part of why you're here today and where you're at today.
He was, and I brought this up last night on how awesome it was when we first came here, when me and Stetson came here, and the whole community came out and welcomed us. And I don't think the community understands how big of an impact that actually made in our lives. It made a huge, huge impact because we didn't get a welcome home when we came off that flight. We were in a gurney, and we were sitting there in our little dress that we have to wear in the hospital. It was humiliating. And the fact that a community didn't know us, we weren't from, I'd never been to Ohio. You asked me where Ohio was on a map, I couldn't even point at it. And the fact that they came out and supported us played a huge impact. And me and Stetson, when we left that time, we told each other that we're going to be back every single year, no matter what. And I save up. I get ready to come here every single time. I want my PTO, and I want to come here. And it's my vacation. And, I get to hang out with some of the people that played an impact on my recovery and saving my life, whether they know it or not. And, they weren't there on that soldier ride, and that wasn't the main thing. But the fact that I have him on my side, I call him my dad. He's just, to me, he's just an inspiration. And Mark will always be an inspiration to me. The fact that I've watched him progress, not only personally in the game of golf, well, not really in the game of golf. It's gotten a little worse than that.
It's gotten a little downhill.
But to see all
Just
that.
as you were tearing me up.
I always got to reel it in a little bit.
You always got to reel it back in.
But no, it was an inspiration when I first met him in 2011. He's still an inspiration to me. To watch him play golf, to watch him go through his day-to-day life, it's awesome. And to watch Mark not only lose his eyesight little by little, it's never deterred him from anything. He's living his life the way he wants to live it, and he's still helping the community even though he needs help. He's still pushing for everybody else, and he's putting himself last, and that's what it's all about. He wants to help out, and to me it's awesome. And I will continue to come here no matter what, whether you guys like me or not. I'm going to keep coming back. Mark's probably going to end up kicking me out of Ohio sooner or later. But I won't ever live with him. He's got cats.
Oh, I'm with you there. Yeah. Nice place to visit. But
Yeah, I'm good without it.
when he shows up with a good beagle puppy or something,
There
we
we
might
go.
stick around a little bit longer.
Yeah. You know, Tom, I've heard Mark called a lot of things. I haven't heard him called Dad before like that. You know, I mean, and
or the cat lady.
yeah, or something like
Crazy-
that.
he's the crazy
Exactly
cat
right.
lady, yeah.
So,
He just does all that stuff to try to get me cry. That's always his big thing to do. But so I'll get a little philosophical just so I get my 2 cents in. But
Sure.
I know that Tina will remember because every year, as the different speakers come in and hear their stories and stuff, Cindy's big message last year was, you got a choice. You get bitter or you get better. And you know, I've kind of modified that. I don't know how strange this will sound, but I think this will make sense to Deven and Jeremiah. I kind of think you really have to get bitter. You have to hit bottom. Because if you don't, you know, all the corny phrases, you can't start back up until you hit bottom, all that stuff. It's true. It is very, very true. And all of the parallels between, you know, the two organizations. I mean, it's almost like I'm demeaning veterans on that. I mean, there's no comparison to what some of the players go through as far as their vision and stuff. But, you know, you're injured, you know, you have your physical things, you've got all the other things to deal with, and you can't just, you know, you don't hop out of bed and Mr. Happy and Positive and I can, you know, it's going to be a great day and stuff. And you know, the joking about Jeremiah, like, dang, would he just get, you know, mean or mad or something once in a while? But so you heard the story, and he didn't get there until he bottomed out. And, you know, life takes you in different paths. So obviously, none of us would have crossed paths. So it's amazing. You know,
And yeah, absolutely, Mark. And I do get mad every time I watch the Cleveland Browns play.
So he's been mad for a very long
You
time.
have control over that. You can choose.
See?
not to watch it.
There you go.
You're in control.
There you go.
See?
My work here is done. Great job.
See,
Just add one more thing that you can control.
And Tina's control of that is start watching the Steelers, right?
Oh, Tina.
See, she's a
Yeah,
Steelers fan, so.
It's true. Listen, I don't need anything else to contribute, you know, to things I can't control. So I can control not getting all upset over that by watching a team that knows how to win.
Oh, I like it. I like it. This is why me and Tina get along.
So Tina, this is a great short little story. Last night, my great niece, she's 1 year old. She came out to the speech too with my niece, and her dad is a Steelers fan. And when I got back to my mom's house last weekend, you know, I'm looking through some pictures, and there's one of the baby hanging on the wall, and she's all decked out in Steelers clothes. And I was like, what on earth is that child wearing? That's blasphemy.
Some beautiful colors.
Yeah.
It's winning colors.
Winning colors, all right.
all right, well, guys, we want to thank you for giving us part of your morning.
Anytime.
My
All
pleasure.
you
Thank
know,
you.
been inspiring stories and all of that, and I think everybody who listened learned a thing or three
I hope so.
from what you guys talked about this morning.
I hope so.
Right.
I hope so. And I want to make sure, Mark, that I say it again, brother, that how much I appreciate you and thank you for inviting me up to this and allowing me the opportunity to better myself, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm helping you better yourself.
I'm just going to start showing up at
See,
your
this
house
is the
with
annoying part. This is
Random
the annoying
okay.
part. This is the annoying part of Jeremiah. But he's so positive all the time.
Now, he didn't say anything about golf game. He's
Yeah, no,
talking
he
about
didn't.
personal. He didn't say anything about the golf game.
Well, it's because Jeremiah's not very good at golf.
Hey, I was doing great yesterday. It took me 12 holes to get warmed up, but those last 6, man, I was good.
Well, he's got to get new clubs. See, for all you listeners out there, Jeremiah's like 4 or 5. He's really, really short. So he plays with little kid clubs, and it's just those plastic clubs just don't do up.
Watch the short jokes. Tina's still on the line.
So Jeremiah, Deven, and Mark, of course, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
It's always an
Thank you.
honor. It's 49 minutes after 8 o'clock on 97.1 Wadsworth Community Radio.